Hello, everyone. And my name is Tatiana Shalepko. I'm a Cambridge University Press CLT consultant in Ukraine. Welcome to this webinar. Really happy to see so many people. We already have up to 900 people in this webinar. So thank you very much for joining. And can you see the button with the hands up? Could you please press the hands up button so I understand that you all can see the screen, see me and Anne Robinson here and here as well. All right. I've got a lot of hands up. Thank you very much. And we will begin with a little bit of information from Cambridge University Press and the Linguist Company. Cambridge University Press and the Linguist Company have been together in Ukraine for 10 years, and it's been a really successful collaboration. So we are, oh, sorry, we've got too many participants. I have to. So many requests. And today we will be mostly focusing on Quick Minds 3 for Ukraine. And this is the resource that many teachers have chosen this year for working with it in the third grade. And what's available, what will be available till autumn, it's a pupils book, activity book, teacher's resource book, and also in September you will be able to get super dictionary book and super puzzles book. What is available now, and you can use it for free. This is okay, sorry, I'll try to. Oh, excuse me for that. So many participants that the system doesn't want to work with that. What is available now is all the audio and also the teacher's book. Okay, great. Sorry for this. The platform constantly tells me that the webinar is full. Yeah, teacher's book, which you can use now in this situation. It's completely there on the publishinglinguist.ua website. All the audio from the course and book samples, workbook samples, and also the interactive online application that you can work with or give a link to the parents or to kids directly so they can play the games, listen to the songs, sing to karaoke versions of the songs, and watch the stories from the course. Also, what we've been doing this year, 2019, 2020 in with Cambridge in Ukraine, we for now we've got over 700,000 teachers working with Cambridge materials, and we've had a lot of webinars and seminars, and this year we had 250 seminars, and also we already held 22 webinars. We're doing it every month or sometimes twice a month, especially these days. So we will be happy to see you at our next webinars. We've written a lot of articles for using our books and working with primary kids, especially with Quick Minds course, and articles about methodology of teaching young learners. So you can find all of them at our linguist.ua and publishing.linguist.ua website. We hold Cambridge Corners. It's live Facebook sessions which you can join, and for now we are having we've had 15 Cambridge Corners, and also you can join Cambridge Corner. It will be happening this Monday, you can still register. What you have to do is you ask your question, and you just go to Facebook, and then you listen to the answer to your question live on Facebook. I will be answering all of those. And what else you can do, we will be choosing the winners using random.org resource, and some of the winners will get the presents from the Linguist Company, which is Prepare Second Edition course. Also, we had 4 big conferences. We hold competitions, and one of those I just told you about. And we also have a lot of teachers using our resources and finding out about all the events happening in our company from Facebook. So you also can sign up and get all the updates very briefly. Quick Minds for Ukraine, if we're talking about the first and the second grade, for these courses, we suggest now video lessons, which we create these days at home, but we do that, and we're trying our best to make good content for kids. And what you can do, you just go to YouTube or publishinglinguist.ua, or you can find information on our Facebook page and send the link to your students, to your pupils, and to their parents, so they can watch video lessons at home. And for the third grade, we created How to Teach Remotely with Quick Minds, specifically for Ukrainian, new Ukrainian school curriculum. And you can find the lesson plans and some recommendations on how to work remotely in the third grade. You can find it on Publishing Linguist UA. Also, Cambridge launched this wonderful campaign, Supporting Every Teacher campaign. And in this campaign, in this section on the World of Better Learning blog on Cambridge.org, you can find a lot of materials that will be really useful for you and in these times. There are free resources, there are articles on teaching remotely, with primary students, with teenagers, with adults, and many resources are available there. Also, if you use Cambridge University Press materials, you can send your request to your manager in the Linguist Company to find out what's available for remote learning and how exactly we can support you, those who use Cambridge University Press books. And a little bit of information about the certificates. You don't have to write your email address in the chat box or anywhere. What you do, you will receive the certificates automatically in the thank you letter within a few days after the webinar. So be also careful, because this email might go into a junk mailbox. So check it as well to find the letter from GoToWebinar platform. We also included a lot of links that will be mentioned in the webinar. Among them, it's Teaching Together blog, which Anne Robinson holds and puts all the materials there. And check out those links as well. So enjoy the webinar, and welcome Anne Robinson, author for Cambridge University Press, Cambridge Assessment English Examiner, teacher and teacher trainer. She will tell you about how to develop thinking skills through reading in primary classroom. And Anne Robinson, I'm giving the floor to you.
Right. Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Great.
Good.
Yes.
You can see. And can everybody hear me? Can we just have a quick sound check on me as well?
Yep. Okay. I have yes and
Good.
greetings.
Hello.
Yes, everybody can hear you. So I will be monitoring the questions and I will disappear now.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Well, hello there. Okay, it's great to be speaking to you. I'm here at home in Spain. We're also under lockdown here. So it's great to be delivering some live training. I really needed this, I think. I wanted to do something. Okay, so let's get started. So today, what we're going to be doing is, wait a minute. I'm just trying to work out how I can move my slides on here. It's not going to let me. Let me just. Right, okay, yes, I'm getting there. Okay, so we're going to start off by thinking about, because the title of the webinar today is Teaching Thinking Skills Through Reading. Okay, so first of all, I thought we'd start by considering what are thinking skills. Okay, so these are not all the thinking skills, but there's some of the thinking skills that I took into consideration when I prepared this webinar. So there are four areas of thinking skills which collocate with the verb making. So when we read, we make comparisons. We make comparisons perhaps with what we know, comparisons with ourselves. We might make associations and think, oh yes, that reminds me of, or yeah, that's just like my house, for example. We make deductions. So maybe there are some things that are not in the text, they're not written, but we can deduct something, some information, a situation, and we can make decisions. We might read the start of a text and decide, no, I'm not going to read it. Or we might read the title or the start of the text and think, wow, this is really interesting. I'm going to read this. We also explore space, okay? So maybe if it's a story, where is it set? Where does the story take place? It can be explore time. So is it in the present, or is it maybe a text that tells us something about the past? And we might also explore numbers, how many people are in this situation, or how many elephants are there in the world, for example. And then we might analyze cause and effect. So why did something happen, or why something that has happened or we read about, and how that might affect something next, what might happen next, or what effect it might have on the family, on the world, whatever. Solving problems and creative thinking. Very much something I'm very interested in, how to be creative with materials. And also, students might categorize things. So if they're reading about a penguin, they might categorize a penguin within the animal world. Sequencing, okay, so noticing or understanding the order of events, because maybe the order of events that we read in the text isn't the same as the actual time order, the order that they happened. So we might get start in the present and we might move to the past, and then we might come back to the present, for example. And memorizing, okay, when we're using texts with students, very often we would like them to remember things, to remember information. And in our case, especially, I think, to remember language. This could be individual words, or it could be phrases, chunks. So these HOTS and LOTS, so higher and lower order thinking skills, are all very important in learning, and they're all very important, and we can try and include them when we're developing reading skills and practicing reading with our primary learners. So Having thought about these thinking skills, let's now move on and look at a reading text. So I'm going to show you a text very quickly. You ready? Okay, right, I shouldn't move on to the next one yet. Okay, so I showed you that text very quickly, and now I'm going to ask you what you think you saw. Was there a title to this text? Was there a photo with this text? Were there any paragraphs? Were there sentences? Were there words? Were there any commas or full stops? Okay, let's move on, and I'm now going to show you the text, but I'm going to show you it bit by bit, and we'll come back to that text. Okay, so these are the first two sentences of that text. And as I show you them, and just imagine you're my students, I'd ask you to think about, I wonder, and think about what questions you would ask yourself when you're reading this text. So this is Alexander, and Alexander's wondering about these two sentences. He's got some questions. How many brothers and sisters has Sophie got? Because Sophie says, I've got a big family. And I wonder, how many cousins has she got? I wonder. This is Ludmilla, and she's read the first three sentences now of the text. And she's got some I wonder questions too. Look at these photos of my family. Where are the photos? Do you think they're on Sophie's phone? Maybe on her tablet? Or maybe it's a physical photo album? What do you think? Let's read the next two sentences. My brother's playing with the dog. They've got a toy elephant. Alexander's asking some more questions. Where are her brother and the dog? How big is that toy elephant? Who do you think Sophie will tell us about next? So we've got the brother, and we've got the dog, and we've got a toy elephant. Who is Sophie going to talk about next? Let's have a look. My grandpa and grandma are fishing. Wow. Where are her grandparents? What are they fishing for? Are they in a boat? Are they at sea? I wonder. At this point, again, I would stop and ask students, who will Sophie tell us about next? We've read about her brother, the dog, the toy elephant, her grandma and grandpa, but who else is in Sophie's big family? My sister's dancing is Sophie's next sentence. I wonder, how old is her sister? What music is she dancing to? Is she a good dancer? I wonder. How many brothers and sisters has Sophie got? So we've got the boy playing, the brother playing with the dog, and the sisters dancing. Do you think she has any more brothers and sisters? I don't think she has, because she says my brother, and then she says my sister. She doesn't say my big brother or my little sister. So I think Sophie has just one brother and one sister. I'm reading a book, Sophie writes. Ah, so this is Sophie. I wonder, which book is Sophie reading? Does she like it? How many pages are there in that book? Is it a big, thick book? Is it a small book? Is it a school book? Is it a story book? I wonder. And look at that photo. What's my mum doing? Is she talking on the phone? No, she's listening to music. So why does Sophie think her mum is talking on the phone? Ah, she must be holding her phone. Right. But then she says, no, she is listening to music. So why does Sophie decide that her mum isn't talking on the phone? Well, probably because her mum's mouth is not open. So in the photo, her mum's not speaking. Or perhaps like me, she's got headphones in and perhaps she's moving to the music. Okay. Who do you think Sophie will tell us about next? I wonder. Well, in fact, that's the end of the text. That's the end of Sophie's text. So we didn't read about how many cousins Sophie has. If you look at Sophie's text there, do you think we've read about all her family? Do you think those sentences talk about a big family? We've got the brother, the dog, the toy elephant, the grandpa, the grandma, the sister, Sophie, her mum. I don't think that's a very big family. So perhaps she has lots of cousins, aunts and uncles, and perhaps that's her big family. Okay, the comprehension task for this text is put a tick, and my tick has disappeared and been replaced by a box, so I'm sorry for that. So put a tick or put a cross. Sophie's got a big family. The text tells us that she has a big family, so that's a tick. Her sister is playing with the dog. No, it was the brother who was playing with the dog, so I'll put a cross there. Her grandma is fishing. Yes, and so is her grandpa. Her mum is listening to music. Yes, and Sophie's reading a book. Yes. So that's a nice simple comprehension task there. At this point, I would ask students their opinion, okay? Personalize this text. Would you like to be part of Sophie's family? So perhaps you'd like to go fishing with your grandparents, or you'd like to have a dog. So you might say, yes, I'd like to be part of Sophie's family. Or perhaps not. It's your opinion. With this text, the text is actually task 2 on this page, which is taken from Quick Minds 3 activity book, page 92. So the first task is to write the letters PH and then to read the words. So nice little task of practicing writing PH and seeing those letters in words. And then they have to match the words to the categories, to technology, to animals, or I can't see behind here, or to names, yes. Okay, and then the task with the text is to read the text and circle the PH words. So I like this task, but I wouldn't do that immediately. First, I would use the text like I've done with you and maybe look at it sentence by sentence or section by section so that they understand the text and they think about the content of the text. When I'd done that, yes, I would get them to read the text and to circle the PH words in the text. So a lovely contextualization of the words that they looked at in 1. But first, I would do some kind of working with the text to check their comprehension and to get them to use those thinking skills. But this is looking for the PH words is a thinking skill, okay? It's categorizing, it's making associations. So that's great. We are working on thinking skills here. I don't know if you remember which words were in 1, but I would add a second task here. So they would circle the PH words in the text, and then I'd ask them, say, which words from 1 are not in the text. So the name Safira and the animal dolphin are not in this text. Okay, so again, just taking this one step further to get them to think about that. Right, other things that we can do with texts, or I would do with this text. So I'd ask students, now they've read the text, to think of a title for the text. So my suggestions would be something very simple, like Me and My Family, or Meet My Family, or Sophie's Family. Okay, depends who is writing the title. If it's Sophie, Me and My Family, or Meet My Family, or if it's an editor or the student who's writing the title, then they could write it like Sophie's Family. Another thing we can do with any text about a family or about people would be to add names. Okay, so we don't here, apart from Sophie, we don't get the names of Sophie's family. And it'd be very natural in a text or in a story to have names. So if your text doesn't have names, get your students to add them. I've added names here, and I've added a little twist. What is in all these names?
And we have some answers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of answers actually. So, right. Yeah, people write PH.
Yes. Okay, yes, exactly. So I chose names that had PH in them, okay? So this would be an ideal opportunity, again, to continue the focus on the spelling, but also perhaps for them to go online or ask the teacher for maybe English names or international names that contain a certain letter pattern, and in this case, PH. Okay, so we've added a little twist, a little challenge to this adding the names. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, I showed you some of Alexander's and Ludmila's I wonder questions. So at this point, we can add our imagination, our ideas to the text. Okay, so I thought that Sophie's photographs were probably on her phone. So I've added on my phone to the text. Which question have I answered here when we're talking about the brother and the dog? Can you remember the questions that Ludmila had about this? Tanya, I don't know whether you can share again.
Yeah, I'm waiting. It's a little bit of a pause.
Okay. Is my speed okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
I still have response about F. Here is the question from Natalia Bondareva. Where are they? Halina Varova. Who will Sophie tell next about? What happened? No, not that question.
And what about small plastic? What question is that answering? The small plastic toy elephant.
No, I don't have that in the chat box.
What do you think, Tanya? What question is that answering?
Which one?
The small plastic toy elephant.
The small plastic. I don't know. I don't know.
What information have I added to the text?
A plastic. It wasn't there. The plastic toy wasn't there.
Small. Okay, so
wasn't there. It was just a toy elephant. Oh, I've got questions. What size is the toy? What does the what have they got?
Yes.
What are they playing? What color? How big it was? What is it made of? What is it? Yes. What music is Sophie's sister dancing to?
All right, we're coming to that. Okay, yes. Okay, so I've given the dog a name, Phoenix, and I've said that they're in the garden. And in my head, in my imagination, the toy elephant is small and it's made of plastic. And perhaps it squeaks because perhaps it's an elephant for the dog to play with. Or perhaps it bounces a little bit. Maybe it's bouncy plastic. So the dog is running after it, perhaps her brother is throwing the toy elephant for the dog. Or perhaps the dog's got it in its mouth and perhaps the brother's tugging at the toy elephant. Okay, basically there's no right answer. It's all in your imagination. And that's what we want students to do, to use their imagination, not just to accept what's in the text, but to go further than that. Okay, right, and these were the questions that I showed you. So where are her brother and the dog, and how big is the toy elephant, were the two questions that I had for Ludmila about this situation. Okay, my next question, or the next question I showed you, were where are her grandparents and what are they fishing for? Okay, so I said that Philip and Daphne are fishing for trout in the river. So, but your students might have come up with fishing for prawns, I don't know, in the sea, or octopuses in the sea. There's no right answer, but I encourage your students to use their imagination. Okay, I imagined Sophie's sister, Safira, which was one of the names we had in one, to be quite young. So it was her little sister, and she was dancing to Peppa Pig. So I'm going to ask you a question now to use your imagination. So Safira is Sophie's little sister, and she's dancing to Peppa Pig. So I'm going to ask you two questions for you to imagine. Where is Safira? And how is the music being played? Is it just music? Is it a video? So is she copying Peppa Pig's actions? What do you think? So I'll say that again if you like. So Safira's dancing to Peppa Pig. Where is Safira? And where is Peppa Pig? Is Peppa Pig on the screen, or is Peppa Pig in the music?
Okay, we've got a few answers here. They're dancing in their imagination, in the room, in the garden, in the bedroom. It's loud music on the from the screen. She's watching a cartoon in the room. She's dancing in a living room, and okay, it's so fast. So many. I have so many answers. A cartoon on iPad, and she's dancing on her bed.
All right, I like that one. Yeah, dancing. Yeah, bouncing up and down.
She's dancing in the hall. She's dancing in the cartoon.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe she's a really good dancer, and so she's on TV. Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so you can see there's no one right answer. It's where your imagination takes your answer. Okay, so that's what I'd encourage you to do with your students, to get them to imagine that where is Safira for you? Where do you see Safira? Possibly your students might want to say something that they can't say in English, but this is the ideal opportunity, the ideal moment to teach that language, because they want to use it. They've got a real motivation for learning that particular language. So ideal learning moment. Give them the language they need to say what they are seeing in their imagination. Okay, I thought that Sophie was probably, she loves reading, I thought. So I have Sophie reading a really long book, and it's called Great Adventures. So, and a really long book, obviously, how many pages? It must have, say, I don't know, 200 pages perhaps. And I think it probably is a good book. I think Sophie probably does like this Great Adventures book. And let's move on to Phyllis, who is Sophie's mom. And what do you think she's listening to? Has she got her phone next to her ear? Has she got headphones on? How do you see Phyllis, and how is she listening to her music?
Okay, I'm coming back to read the answers.
Mhm.
She has AirPads. I've got a comment. It really develops thinking and grammar.
Mhm.
Okay, on the phone, jumping on her bed.
Oh, as well. It's a family of bed jumpers here.
Yeah. She has headphones and she's cooking.
Oh,
CD
right.
player on the radio, more headphones. She's listening to rock music.
Right.
Uh, the phone, and it's on the table. Uh, she's listening through headphones in order not to bother, I guess, her sister.
Mm-hmm. With a Peppa Pig.
Yes, lying on the grass. This is nice.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, again, we've got lots of different answers. Lovely. Okay, an ideal opportunity for your students to use their imagination, to compare their pictures, their imagination, and they will enjoy it. I'm sure. Okay. Okay, and why does Sophie think her mum is on the phone? Okay, this is when we're making deductions, okay, because Sophie's looking at the photo and she thinks, oh, is she talking on the phone? No, she's listening to music. Yeah, so something about her posture or her attitude, something, we're making deductions about Sophie's mum and what she's doing. So the deduction I've added, she's wearing headphones again. Yeah. So she often listens to music and has the music on her phone. Right. Again, we're going to think about deduction here, making deductions. Read the text again and just count how many photos does Sophie show and what's each photo of.
Back again. So I have the answer of five photos. Somebody writes 3 photos. There is answer 5, 3, 7, 6, 4.
Okay, I thought 5, but when you said 3, I changed my mind thinking that obviously we might have photos. For example, we might in one of the photos see Sophie reading, and maybe in one side of the photo or in the background, maybe her sister's dancing, or maybe we can see her sister Sophie and her mum. Okay, so yes, I actually thought 5, but now I've listened to those answers, I can quite see how you might have 3. 7, perhaps, I suppose you might have maybe 2 photographs of the brother, for example. Perhaps the brother's playing with the dog, and then there's another photograph where we see clearly this toy elephant. Okay, so again, there's no right answer, but what you can ask students to do is say, why do you think there are 3 photos? If you think there are 3 photos, what's in each photo? If you think there are 7 photos, what's in each of those 7 photos? Okay, so they have to justify their opinion. There's no right or wrong answer, but you have to say why your answer is correct. Okay. Then we could ask students to add photos. So very often what I do is, in this case, this text comes from the activity book. So I would ask students to look through either the activity book or their pupil's book, or both, or a magazine or another book, and to find pictures or photos that could be the people in Sophie's family. So that's what I did, and look what I found. What do you think of these 5 pictures? Are they perfect? Are they ideal for this text? Is anything missing from any of the pictures? What do you think?
Okay, I'm coming back. So photo 1 is the brother, then grandparents, 2 grandparents, sisters, Sophie and her mom. But I guess grandmother is missing, isn't she?
Grandma's missing, isn't she? And what's missing from the boy and the dog?
Okay, I still have Granny's missing. Peppa Pig is missing. Okay. The toy elephant is missing. Got this one. Somebody writes Granny swimming behind the boat.
Oh, right. Very, very fit and young. Yes. Grandma. Good. I like that one. Yes, she's diving perhaps under the boat.
So yeah, we've got the toy and grandmother.
And what do you think of the photo of the mom? Do you think this mom looks as though she's listening to music?
Oh, somebody wrote just now that no, she's not. She's not listening to music there.
Why not? What is it about that picture that it isn't quite right?
Because, well, she's talking over the phone, and somebody wrote that she looks too young, as for the mother.
All right. Good point. Okay. Right. So she's talking on the phone. What is it? What exactly is it about her that makes her look as though she's talking and not just listening?
Oh, we need to give it a little.
That's no problem.
Facial expression. Maybe she's arguing. She's emotional. She has her mouth open.
Yes, yes, very much. She definitely looks as though she's speaking. And also, if you notice where her phone is, she seems to be listening to a conversation, to a person speaking, rather than listening to music. But I think the key thing is her mouth. Yeah, that she does look as though she's speaking, perhaps, as somebody said, maybe even arguing with somebody. Yeah. So, yeah, so we're using our logic and our world knowledge, and maybe we haven't thought about posture, our mouths, our attitude, but we're getting students to notice these things and to think, does it match what I read in the text? Okay. I'm going to show you another text, and I'm going to show you it again in the way I showed you the first text. And I just want you to think about what's similar, what's different. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not doing that. No, I still have to come to that. Sorry. I've taken these words from the text, but now they're not in the same order as they were in the text. So now students are not looking at the text, and we ask them to put them in the order that they were when in the text. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. We won't do a poll this time, a chat box. Tanya will just show it. Okay, so first of all, my name's Sophie. I'm going to look at these photos, her brothers with the dog and the toy elephant, and look at this photo of her mum, and her mum is listening to music on the phone. Or is she talking on the phone? No, she's listening to music. So we've taken away the text. We give, again, we're focusing on this spelling pattern, the PH words. So I've taken those PH words and I've jumbled them, and I ask them to put them back into order. And by putting them back into order, they're reconstructing the information in the text. And I've also taken the two words from exercise 1, task 1, Sapphira and dolphin. Those words were in 1, but we don't have them in the text. So you could ask students to add them to the text. So if you remember, I added the name Sapphira. My sister Sapphira is dancing, and perhaps Sophie, I'm reading a book about dolphins. Okay, so adding a little challenge to get students to add those words to the text. And this text, the grammatical area really is the present continuous. So again, we could take out the verbs, the ing forms of the verbs from the text. This time I've actually got them in this, no, I haven't got them in the same order, but I would ask them to make sentences with the words, okay, so for them to practice using the verbs. And very important, and something I think students find quite difficult, is referencing. Okay, so we've got these reference pronouns in the text. So we can ask students to say, what do they talk about? So I is obviously Sophie, but who is they? And who is she in the text?
Okay, I'm coming back. We've got family members. We've got grandpa and grandma, yes, grandparents, brother, and dog.
And the dog, exactly. It has to be not just the brother, because that would be he. Okay.
She is mom. I, Sophie.
And she could also be
as a sister.
The sister, exactly. Okay, right. So again, we're getting them to think about logic from the text, and also to think about grammar, okay, and referencing. Okay. Yes, so that's just to show you the text, and you can see those words in the text. Okay. Right, again, I've taken away the text. How many sentences do you think were in the text? Which is the longest sentence? And there are lots of short sentences. So I would ask students, can you join sentences together and make some longer sentences? And that's especially important when students are becoming, having more language, learning linking words. We want them to practice those things. So there are 13 sentences in this text. The longest sentence is, they've got a toy elephant, or my brother is playing with the dog. So the longest sentence is 7 words. So I would ask students to try and join some of these sentences together to make some longer sentences. So here are a couple of suggestions. And obviously what we did before when the answering our I wonder questions. So my brother is in the garden because he's playing with the dog. We can obviously have longer sentences if we add the information that we've imagined about Sophie's family, an ideal opportunity for them to use those linking words. Okay, I'm pretty sure, going to show you the text that I mentioned. Okay, I'm going to do it again, just in case you weren't watching there. What about this text? Is it similar to the text about Sophie's family? What do you think it is? What kind of text do you think it is?
I guess there are teachers who work with this course, so
okay, right. They have a big advantage.
Correct answers here.
Okay.
Like around 100 answers saying it's a song.
Yeah.
Just...
Okay, but I think you can also see it, that it is a song. Okay, I'll show you the song here. Okay, so very often I think we dive straight into a text and understanding it, but a very important thing for students to notice and to look at is the layout and the way texts are organized. So here it looks like a song. It is a song. It looks like a song. Why? Because we've got these lines very clearly. For example, line 2 doesn't go all the way across to the other side of the page because it's a song. So the next line of the song starts on the next line, even if we haven't filled the whole line before it. So it looks like a song, okay? And the text we had about Sophie's family looked like a text. Looking at the content, how is this song similar to Sophie's family text, and how is it different?
Okay, I have to jump in once again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's similar and what's different between the texts? I've got the first answer is from Katerina. Okay, it jumped away. It was ing form.
Yes.
The phone talking, present continuous.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a girl. They are doing the same things. They are describing, it describes activities. There is a boy. There are negative sentences. I guess it's difference.
Yeah.
Different,
yes,
different
negative
actions. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, we can very often, perhaps in a unit of a book or in the pupil's book and the activity book, we're working with different texts. So get students to notice the differences between them in the layout, in the content, in the language, the person who wrote the text, the focus. So here, we don't know the name of the girl. We do know the name of the other people. And there's a negative feeling, okay? She's here all alone. She's here on her own. And she's got nothing to do. So she's feeling very frustrated. She doesn't like the fact that everybody is busy and doing things. In Sophie's text, she seemed very happy. She was reading her book, and the other people in her family were busy, but that wasn't a problem. She was happy to read her book. Okay, so again, get them to think about the similarities and to think about the differences in the text. Okay, I've rewritten the text. Can you just read it and think about who wrote this text?
Okay, let's wait a little bit more. I've got 3 answers. Yes, we have a lot of answers for now. So it's Sophie's mother.
Yeah, okay. So another thing we can do is to ask students to rewrite a text like this, but they are rewriting it as a different person in the family. So I rewrote it as Sophie's mom, but students could write it from the brother's point of view, or the little sister, or the grandparents. And they have to think about what changes they need to make when they're writing it from another person's point of view. Okay, very interesting way of working on verb forms, reference pronouns, and lexis too, vocabulary. Okay. Then again, personalization. I'd ask students, is Sophie's family like your family? Okay, so in my case, I have a brother, but I don't have a sister. And my name's Anne. Okay, I haven't got a big family. Okay, so they can talk about how their family is the same or similar, or how their family is different. And right now, when a lot of families are at home, it is actually an ideal moment for them to talk about what their family is doing, because they can write it. Their parents, they're not at school and their parents are at work, or in most cases. So they could very easily write a text like this with the present continuous, because they can see what everybody in their family is doing. They could do a survey. Yeah, so they can find out about everybody in the classes, the number of brothers and sisters, or the number of cousins, and what their family members are doing. And then they could create a bar chart. So for this session, what I've created as a takeaway, and Tanya, I'll send you this, so that you can share it with the teachers, is I've created a choice board, an activities board. Okay, so some of the activities that we've looked at in today's webinar, things that you can do with pretty much any text, which is what I wanted to try and give you today, ideas that you can take away and use at different levels with different texts. Okay, so we can share that with you after the webinar. And Tanya, we would like now to do a poll. So which of the skills do you think that you would like to go away and develop most right now with your students?
So people are voting for now. 10% has voted.
All right.
And we have, for now, the winner is making deductions, but now it's 30% of people voted. Let's wait for, I don't know, maybe for 20 seconds.
Yep.
So we have at least 50%. Still, the winner is making deductions.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I've focused on or emphasized most, I think, in the webinar.
Yeah, I guess that's the case.
Yeah. No, and also I think it's something that that we do, but maybe we don't consciously do it all the time, but we can make students aware of how we do it, yeah, in real life.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's really really important, especially at this time. Making deductions is the most, I think, the most valuable critical thinking skill for now, because the rest are maybe a little bit lower order. I don't know. But,
yes, well, certainly memorizing is.
Yeah.
Certainly, yes.
Okay, I will be showing the results now. Here we go. Making deductions is the winner. It's 64%. Making comparisons is 52%. Memorizing 47%. Sequencing 28%, and 26% for categorizing.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent. So okay, so I think we should now wait a minute, have well, actually, no, I was going to show you this quote from Herbert Puchter, who's one of the authors of Quick Minds, and also just really as well to highlight that there are several articles on the world of better learning on applying thinking skills. Several articles that Herbert Puchter wrote about thinking skills. And I liked this particular one, you know, that when children get used to systematically applying their thinking skills, they will go through positive learning experiences and gradually learn to enjoy more challenging tasks. And as a result, their self-confidence will grow. So I think that I really liked several parts of that quote from Herbert Puchter. And I definitely recommend you check out his articles there on the Better Learning blog. So Tanya, I thought now we have time. I'm certainly staying around until you tell me to go. So any questions, I'll be delighted to answer them.
Yeah, there was one question during the webinar. So some of the participants joined a little bit later. So we had Anne Robinson with us, teacher trainer. There was a request to introduce you. Teacher trainer, Cambridge University Press author, and Cambridge Assessment English examiner. And one of the questions was to read in such a way with applying questions. Should I make a presentation, or how can I show sentences one by one to students if they already have the book?
Obviously, they should have the books closed. Okay. So I would try and show it as a class or to the class, so on your screen like I've been doing, or if you're in the physical classroom, if you've got an electric whiteboard, then show it there sentence by sentence like I did, or you could write it on the board, and you can have post-its or strips of paper, and you can just peel those pieces of paper off and gradually reveal it. But I wouldn't have the students looking at the text in their books. Not at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Another question is, should I correct reading mistakes while reading?
Okay. I think what you have to decide is if a student doesn't understand something and that's going to affect what you're going to do next, then I think yes, you need to check and correct or at least make sure that the student has understood the information correctly. So if it's a bit like when you're correcting writing, can meaning still be determined? Can communication still continue? If it doesn't, then I think that's a problem. Yeah, so you maybe not correct wouldn't be the word. It would be maybe to check and to maybe, if possible, guide the student to correct understanding of the information. So rather than saying, no, that's not right, you could say, well, do you think the toy elephant is enormous? Could the dog and the boy play with an enormous toy elephant, for example?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. There is a question, where are these texts from? I will answer this question. This is the examples were from the activity books for Quick Minds 3. But if you are working now with Quick Minds, the third level, which were designed for pilot project, you will not find those tasks there, because we took feedback from teachers, and we are now preparing the reading sections for Quick Minds 1, 2, and 3 for all of them. Something you really wanted and something you were asking us to do. We've done it for all the 3 grades for new Ukrainian school curriculum. And in new activity books, you will find these texts. Also, there will be a separate super reading book where you will find more tasks like this and more texts with more pictures, because in this reading section in activity book, we couldn't include pictures. So it's all on 9 pages. And question to Anne. Okay, there was one, but I lost it somewhere. Fine, I've got one more question. Oh, where can we find these? Where can we find more information about reading techniques?
About reading, sorry, technique.
Yeah.
If you go to the World of Better Learning, the one where I showed you the link, so it's the cambridge.org /ELT/blog. If you go there, and if you search for reading, you'll find some wonderful blog posts, articles about different reading skills. So that I would suggest as a first place to visit would be there. And Herbert Puchter has written several articles about thinking skills and about reading and about encouraging students to use their imagination. So that would be a very obvious place, I think, to start.
Yeah, I included the link to World of Better Learning into the thank you letter, so you will receive those links and the appropriate articles as well. And one more question. Are mistakes okay in speech? I guess, when are mistakes okay in speech?
I would always say it depends. Okay, mistakes are part of learning. And in my experience, the best learners are learners who take risks and who try and use language, new language, as they learn it. If you use the language, one of my sayings for myself and everybody else is use it or lose it. So if especially when we're learning new language, we should be encouraging students to use it. By using it, it becomes part of their language. But also for us as a teacher, if we see that everybody in the class is maybe struggling with this language point or this area, then maybe we need to revise it or give more practice. But we all make mistakes. I probably made loads of mistakes in this webinar because we're expressing things that we're thinking, but we might change our mind in mid-sentence. And so it's a natural thing to make mistakes. I think going back to what I said about reading, again, I think to take into account, does it stop you understanding the student? So if the student says something and because of the mistake, you can't understand what they're saying, or somebody wouldn't follow them, then again, I wouldn't say, no, that's not right. I would say, so what you mean is, or are you trying to say, and maybe help them by showing them how to say it, and then perhaps they can say, yes, I was telling you about my cousin, for example. Okay, so you can maybe help them to express themselves, but not necessarily correcting, overt correction and saying, no, that's not right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It sounds like, you know, when you're talking to a person who is talking to you in your native language, but it's not a native language for this person, you wouldn't correct mistakes and say it's wrong. You just ask to paraphrase or find the way to explain something in different words. I've got questions. Okay, I've got a few more questions to me. Will we receive a teacher's book for free for Quick Minds 3, like we did for Quick Minds 1 and 2? Yes, those teachers who voted for Quick Minds and who will get Quick Minds 3 from the government, you will receive Quick Minds 3 for free, and you will this absolutely the same procedure. You will have to fill out the form, make a request, and hopefully this year it will be much faster because the elections of the book finished in March, and last year they finished in May. That's why the process took so long. So this year it will be much easier, much faster. And one more question. Whether will we be able to watch the webinar again? Yes, you will all receive the recording in the thank you letter. And what about this? Do we have to? We were talking about the mistakes already. It's the same question. Should we translate sentences into the native language?
Okay, before I answer that, actually, I'm just going to say one more thing about mistakes. If you think about the way children learn their first language, okay, so any of you who are parents, or if you teach really young kids, then it's the natural way of learning is that the parent or the person that's with the child will very often repeat and say, so you danced to Peppa Pig. Oh, really? And then the child would say, yes, I danced to Peppa Pig. So it's a very natural way of teaching children to express themselves. So I think we're mirroring what happens in students' native language. And sorry, Tanya, I've lost your question again. I mean,
translation, whether we should use language.
Yes, first language, yes. Okay, again, a lot of those activities we were doing, where we were imagining what Sophie's sister was dancing to, for example. And I said that was an ideal opportunity for students to maybe want to express something and maybe they don't know how to. So I think if you share their language, okay, obviously some teachers don't speak the students' language, but if you do, then for me, again, it's a very natural thing to do. So one of the things which has been added to the latest version of the Common European Framework is the idea that somebody is an intermediary, if you like, of and we've got mediation. So a very natural thing that happens. You mentioned, Tanya, about maybe a non like me, if I don't speak Ukrainian, unfortunately, but if I did, and I was to say something to you and it wasn't quite right, then you might say, oh, so what you mean is, so I think exactly the same with using students' first language. If it's something that they should be able to say in English because perhaps actually being the focus of your lesson, then I would insist that they try and do it in English. But if it's something that really, you know, very probably that they're not going to be able to say in English, but they want to say it, then of course, I think you could react in their language and you could tell them how to say it in English. Mm-hmm. I never ban students' first language from the classroom. I used to have in my classroom a hand. So if students wanted to speak to me in Spanish, in this case, it was the la mano. So they had to go to the wall and put their hand on the wall. And while they had their hand on the mano, then they could speak to me in Spanish. So you could have something like that, yeah? That you have like a rule, as it were, especially higher levels, I think, where they are allowed to speak that Ukrainian, but they have to have their hand on the wall or some kind of sign.
Nice. I've got a few personal questions. So one is, how many languages do you speak? And another one, have you ever been to Kiev?
Oh. Okay, yes, I've been to Kiev twice. The last time was in November. And the previous time, I think, was March, if I remember right, Tanya?
1st of March.
Yes. And languages that I speak, well, obviously English, because I was born in the United Kingdom. I studied French and German at university. And I came to Spain to live here for a year, and I've been here now for 35. So I speak Spanish. So 4.
Do you travel a lot?
Right now, no. Yes, normally I travel. I mean, I still have family in the UK, so especially the last 2-3 years, I've been traveling a lot back home, and then I travel a lot in Spain to give training sessions for Cambridge assessment on the exams, and I also travel a lot here and then internationally. Both for Cambridge Assessment English and for Cambridge University Press. At the moment, I am, after this webinar, I now have 10 more webinars coming up. They all came in this week. So at the moment, I'm not traveling. I'm doing quite a lot of training, which I'm delighted about. But normally, yes, I'd probably travel about, internationally, maybe about 8 times a year for international training events.
Okay. There was a question. What's your hobby?
What's my hobby?
And Well, have you ever worked at school? And do you
Yes.
teach other languages?
I used to work in Madrid, and then here in Santander, near where I live, I was the director of International House. It was quite a big school here in Santander, and I also worked in International House in Madrid. And my hobbies, I love making things. So, and that sometimes is for training and the classroom, and sometimes it's for me, for home. So I like crocheting, but also making things with paper. I have a webinar next week, and I'm making some things for the webinar.
Nice, nice. You're gonna show it.
I've got them downstairs, unfortunately, otherwise I would show you.
Okay, and let's have it as the last question. What was the most memorable day of your teaching at school?
Wow. Yes, I know which one I would choose, I think. So this was my first year of teaching 6-year-olds. I hadn't taught that age group before, and I had a group. It was the first time that age group had also been taught at International House here. So everything was new. And on the Friday afternoon, I was teaching them whose is this? Whose is it? Whose is that? Whose is this? And I was quite depressed by the end of the class because I thought students hadn't really understood it. They weren't getting it. I didn't know what to do. So that was a Friday. And then on Monday, I had the same group. And somebody, when the students had come into the classroom, somebody had dropped something on the floor. I don't know, maybe a pen or a pencil. I can't remember exactly what it was. And one of the students in the class walked over, picked it up from the floor and said, "Whose is this?"
Oh.
And I was like, Friday's class wasn't a waste of time.
Nice.
That was my eureka moment, I think.
Okay, and since I announced that one as the last question, so let's finish here. Thank you very much, Anne, and thank you very much. So many teachers joined. It was 1,000 teachers in the during the webinar. For now, we have a few of them who left already, but still, thank you very much, and we hope it was really useful. For me, it was really useful, and thanks, and hope to see you again in our events in Ukraine. And
yes, whenever you want. I'd be delighted.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.